Welcome to Eurovision Kiki. We're three Americans who have fallen in love with Eurovision. I'm Doug.
I'm Steven.
I'm Katie, and here on Eurovision Kiki, we're bringing you the best information about the Eurovision Song Contest.
We'll bring you the music, history, traditions,
and all the tea currently surrounding the world of Eurovision.
And welcome to another Eurovision Kiki, where today we get to talk about the finals of Eurovision 2024. Before we get into all the meat of it, let's talk a little bit about run order and what that means. So, ever since 2013, the producers have gotten to have a hand in how things go. So, there's a little bit more control to make sure that they get the show that they want. So, each act that makes it into the finals is going to select either first half, second half, or producer's choice. You've got 6 acts that are going to be in the first half, 6 acts in the second half, and then the rest of them, 13, are all going to get producer's choice. So overall, you have the producers who get a lot of say in how this show works. So first impressions, Stephen and Katie, about the run order.
I think it's good with the way they've sort of orchestrated the run order. It gives a little bit of flexibility to really put together a presentation based off of, okay, we're going to start strong or we're going to start high, work our way down with some soft melodies. I think producer's choice is also a great fit because there could be a couple of songs where you have absolutely no idea where you're going to put them, but thankfully they do have the producer's choice. So as they're looking at who has first and who has second half, that'll also help them sort of plug and chug where they want some of the other artists to go in order to make a playlist. I'm going to say the word playlist. That will be super strong from beginning, middle, all the way to the end. This year, I would give it a really strong 10 out of 10. I think they knocked it out of the park this year with the way that they had the running order put together based off of which countries and artists picked what, and it provided us a lot of entertainment for this grand final.
I think so. As you get entered into the final, you make it through your semifinal, you basically draw from a hat where you're going to be, that first half, second half, or producer's choice. I think it's interesting because there's so much superstition around it. So part of why it's like a drawing is because over the years, we have 68 years of history. There are like better places to be in or terrible places to be in, such as you do not want to perform second. No one who has ever performed second has ever won.
They have so many beliefs that second up in the grand final is the biggest curse that you could be given as you go into the grand final.
So I can imagine if I was an artist and I made it into the final and I draw second half, I'm like, okay, I could maybe win this thing.
Well, I think anything that says second half, producer's choice second half, you have at least that sense of relief that you don't have to worry about
a little
that.
Better.
just want to clarify, it's first half, so 6 people get first half, 6 people get second half, the other 13 get producer's choice, and that producer's choice can be anywhere in the lineup.
Oh, can it?
So
I thought, okay.
So if you're Ukraine and you're getting put in second place, do you feel like you suddenly got cursed and then you're like, cool, producers, thanks, hate you?
Well, I saw a video of the girls from Ukraine this year getting interviewed, and that was the first question that they were asked was, how do you feel about being the second act to perform in this first half of the grand final? And both of them were like, don't remind us, like, we don't need that. We don't need that curse. We don't need to think about this curse right now.
Yeah, it's energy.
It's not what we wanted, but we don't want to think about it right now. We just want to go out and do our best. And kudos to them. I mean, we haven't gotten to this part yet, but I will just say, their final score and their overall performance this year, to me, gave hope that folks can feel a little bit better moving forward, that maybe going second isn't the biggest curse at all.
So historically, second half acts have won. So if you break it down, like the vast majority of winners come from the second half of the show. So giving the producers more and more control is, do you feel as though some artists may look at that and say, you're basically stacking the deck, you're basically choosing the winner by where you put us?
That's why I was saying, like, the drawing has become such a big part of it because they want it to feel randomized. But having, I mean, it's half and half basically. Half get a half chosen, selected that they pick, and half are at the mercy of the producers. And I could totally see, I mean, if I was in it and I got producer's choice, I would be like, I would very much read into where I got placed. If I got
Well,
put in the second half by the producers, I was like, oh, okay. They think I'm gonna do well then. It's hard not to when you have the long history of these trends.
and I don't think that they're shy about it either. So there's a quote that I want to read, and it's from the contest producer this year. And he says, it's all about creating the best TV show possible and giving all the artists a chance to shine. In previous years, with just the first and second half draws, you might find many ballads ended up in the same part of the show, or many favorites were drawn to perform in the same half. Adding the flexibility of producer's choice gives me the ability to create an even better flow of different tempos and an even more thrilling grand finale. But I want to highlight the very first thing he said. It's about creating the best TV show possible. He doesn't care who wins, or maybe he does. He just wants to put on a good show. And in putting on a quote unquote good show, is he influencing the outcome?
Yeah, because maybe a little bit. I don't want to fully say yes, he is or not, but I think, part of a good show, you can't predict the outcome necessarily in a live voting kind of thing, but
Sure.
when you're second half, you are fresher in voters' minds, you're fresher in the jury's minds, you are fresher. And when the results are called and you are a winner and you're in the like latter half of the performance, people get really excited because they remember your performance.
Yeah.
I think there
So,
is something to it.
well, so let's take a look and see how our finalists drew. So from semifinal 1, as a reminder, the following countries qualified for the grand final. It was Serbia, Portugal, Slovenia, Ukraine, Lithuania, Finland, Cyprus, Croatia, Ireland, and Luxembourg. Serbia, Portugal, Ukraine, and Croatia got producer's choice. Slovenia drew second half, Lithuania drew first half, Ireland drew first half, and Luxembourg drew first half. So of those that got producer's choice, we see one that was given first half. You got Ukraine, and they gave them second of all the ones that they could. That now that I see that, I'm like, that is surprising. But no surprise. Croatia, and they gave them second half, and not only did they give them second half, but they also had Baby Lasagna perform toward the tail end, which, as we know, is notorious for being one of the strongest spots to be in for a win.
Yeah.
Well, and they say that they want a mix of genres and to create an exciting show. Well, your last, 5, 6 songs are all very upbeat, very crowd energy, except for France.
Well, and I wouldn't put Slovenia in that. So we have Slovenia. I feel like that's a little bit more like darker. And then Croatia, Georgia, France, ballad, and then Austria.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. I don't love the idea of I want randomness. I love the idea
yeah,
of you just draw and you get what you get and the order is the order. I
Yep.
don't care for the idea of the producer being, I'm going to create this show and I get to determine how everything shakes out.
I mean, and then look at this
well,
second half here.
also
You've
we
got
say
1,
that,
2,
but I
3.
don't know what it would look like if we didn't have that at all. Like, I haven't been watching when they had like first half, second half fully drawn. So I don't
mean, they've had a
know.
lot more control since 2013. So what I was reading was that in 2013, they basically argue that we need more control over how this works. And ever since then, they've gotten that more control. So, I mean,
That's
we know
fascinating.
that at the end of the day, this is about the dollars. This is about creating a show that people want to watch. And so again, they're putting on the best TV show possible.
Yeah.
Could that be to the
Well, okay.
success or detriment of folks? Potentially.
Possibly. Okay, so here's second half, or excuse me, semifinal 2. We had Latvia, Austria, Netherlands, Norway, Israel, Greece, Estonia, Switzerland, Georgia, and Armenia as our qualifiers from the second semifinal. Of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 10 finalists got producer's choice. 3 of the other ones, Austria, Norway, got drawn second half, and Greece got drawn first half. So they had a lot to play with during the finalists from second semifinals, when it really came to deciding who was going into first half and who was going into second half there. Again, no surprise.
I was just going to say, for some context, you got the Big Five drew first, then the winners from semifinal 1 immediately after they won drew for their placement, and then semifinals 2 just drew what was left.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Which is really interesting when you like look at the numbers and how they lined up now, that you see that there were a lot that they left a lot of producers' choice out there for that last draw of picks. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, we've got the run order. It's in full motion. So let's talk a little bit about maybe some of our favorites. Maybe some of our favorites that were a little bit lower than we had hoped.
First, I want to jump into a cool part of it, the flag parade.
Oh, so that's right. Always, yes. I can't believe I missed that one.
I know. Yeah. It's kind of how we open the show. Is it introduce all the artists in running order by their country. And there's, this year they had just like famous Swedish pop songs as their like soundtrack for it. So we had I Love It by Iconopop, Beautiful Life by Ace of Base, The Look by Roxette, I Follow Rivers by Leaky Lee, Sun is Shining by Axwell and Ingrosso, and Gimme 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 by ABBA. And
love all of those songs.
Yeah, I mean,
love
they're
them all.
great. I also just thought that I was shocked to see that Avicii wasn't one of the songs that they chose as their famous Swedish pop musicians. Because I would say, I mean, this is obviously very America-centric, but for me, like, Leaky Lee she's great, and I really enjoy her music, but she's definitely more of an indie, like, not necessarily a household name here. And Ace of Base, as far as America is concerned, was pretty much a one-hit wonder with I Saw the Sign. So I
the
don't
millennial
know
in me is dying that you said
I
one-hit wonder.
I was like, we can agree to disagree on that one.
But I will let you cassette, and I love all of their music. So
I will let you have it, Katie. I will let you go off, girl. Keep going.
First of all, I'm going to be shady real quick and say the elder millennial in you says that, because the middle millennial in me is like, that was before my time. So
okay. Well, I need to go check on my back because it hurts. So
anyway,
she's shading like both of us when she says that. Don't get me wrong.
True.
So you are not alone. I'm like, anyway.
Yeah, I just feel like that is something that, like, so much of the world like really mourned when he died in 2018, and like he's got some really really world renowned songs, and so I was kind of surprised not to hear any of them during the flag parade.
Right. Definitely a surprise that he wasn't included.
Yeah.
What
It
could we have cut some of these other songs down just slightly and put in another
made
song?
room.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. They could have allowed 3 or so of those finalists to walk out
Yeah.
to an Avicii song. By all means,
Yeah.
they could have.
And I will
Absolutely.
say at first when the I Love It started playing, because for me, I just remember that it was also featuring Charlie XCX, and I was like, huh, why would they choose this Charlie XCX song? It's Brat Summer. Like, obviously Brat wasn't out yet, but it was like, I was like, oh yeah, it's not actually like just by her. Like, there's Icona Pop is also there.
It's
So,
I think this year they knocked it out of the park with the way that they put together the flag ceremony. It really hyped the crowd. I know for Doug and I. So Doug and I were there, but we weren't there. That's probably the best way to put it. We were not privy or fortunate enough. Well, actually, no. As a group that were going for the grand final, those tickets were ridiculous, expensive. Even if you wanted nosebleed seats, and so we said no, thank you. Then Doug, being the mastermind behind all of the research, found a watch party that was still in Malmö. It was at one of their concert venues or arenas or theaters or something to that extent for super cheap prices. So we got tickets for that, and it was equally as much fun. And they just basically they streamed it. They showed us the live recording as it was going down, and that was equally as fun. So to me, I still felt like I was at the show.
Right. We were live adjacent.
We were live adjacent is the
I
best
love
way to
that.
put it. But everybody's energy was still we were still very hyped. We were still having a great time. We were clapping along, and yeah, flag ceremony set the tone for that entire evening. And I think that they, minus not having any music inspired by Avicii, I would say no huge complaints with how the flag ceremony was handled.
Yeah. And I will say this is one of the things that makes it easy to compare Eurovision to the Olympics. That's like kind of been my elevator pitch. Like, are you enjoying watching the Olympics? Do you wish there was every year? Do you wish there was a little bit more music? Do I have the show for you?
Tell me more. Where do
It's
I sign
called
up?
Peacock, just like
Yeah.
you're watching the Olympics on.
Let's talk about something that we didn't necessarily we sort of talked about it during semifinals 1 and 2 this year, but also placement of the Big Five as well as winning host city. This year we had a unique experience in that our Big Five plus last year's winning country got to perform during the semifinals, almost as I would, very similar to intermittent acts. I would call them sort of just exhibit acts, if you will, because they're part of the contest. It's just during semifinals night, you are not allowed to vote for them. But I liked this year that they did that because it exposed the audience to their music in sort of an equal caliber that we do with the other countries. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, I think it helped them with placement this year. But this going into the grand final, now you are putting a vote out for them. Of course, the Big Five, we have the UK, we have Italy, we have Germany, we have France, and we have and Spain. And then we have our winning country from 2023, Sweden. So they were thrown into the mix as well.
Well, and of those, half of them made it into the top 10, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that overall it probably helped. Although I will say that if we look at trends over time, France and Italy have sort of been the better placing Big Five to begin with.
They've always been strong, which is
Except for 2023 when France did not place super well.
Well, I mean, she has some thoughts to share with us about that.
She
Uh,
certainly does.
but I would say, like, just generally speaking, Italy and France have been the higher placing out of the big five.
Yeah.
So it was no surprise to see them up there. But I do think that having them a part of the semifinals did result in higher expectations because, again, when we're voting, we're supposed to base it only on the finals, right? And so I
Yep.
think a lot of the public
Yeah.
does just watch the finals. So those who got to see them in the semifinals just got that much more exposure.
Yeah.
I think Isaac got a huge lift this year because of his exposure in the semifinals. Germany has been another country notorious to be seen at the bottom half of the rank when it comes to final results after the grand finals. Blood and Glitter from 2023 was not strong. Rock Stars from 2022, again, not the strongest. I Don't Feel Hate 2021, abysmal. And so it was good to see that Germany was on the first half, if you will, of final results this year. And rightfully so. Isaac, we went to his meet and greet. Such a great guy. Very humble, very chill and laid back. He even mentioned during his interview, during the meet and greet, that he's bummed Germany is not part of the general pool of countries because he actually just wanted to see if his song would have carried him into the grand final without having the golden ticket to automatically advance. And I thought that was so cool of him to say that because he wants to be there and actually try.
I like that. And I feel like with that, let's start talking about some of the acts in detail because I actually thought that his performance was not as strong as the song is, personally.
So
Say more.
you're saying that it's a strong song, but the performance suffered day of.
Absolutely.
Say more.
I think he sounded out of breath and like a little winded, which takes away some of like that crisp, like cleanness of his voice. Which is like part of the thing where I listen to that song and I'm like, God, it just like sounds so good. And then having him like like it takes a lot away from that. And I think
I think the public takes notice. I think the public understands that this is a song contest and we can't just base it on our love for their studio version.
Right.
And to your point, I think that's reflected in his overall public vote because we compare it to his jury. His placement as 12th is primarily based on his 99 points from the jury versus his 18 points from the public.
Yeah. And I also felt like I didn't understand the concept, the set. I didn't understand, like, why is he on a couch surrounded by fire?
I don't think he understood his concept either.
He tried to explain it.
He did. He tried to explain it.
Yeah, that I also felt like made the performance suffer. And maybe he didn't place as high as he could have because it was just kind of like, well, I gotta sing it on stage and make it look cool. So fire?
Do you remember what exactly he said at the meet and greet? Because that was another question that he was asked is what's the inspiration behind your stage set? And he said he was even kind of dumbfounded by it. He's like, I'm in a room and the room is on fire. And they're like,
and I'm running from it and I'm always on the run. And you're like, yeah, that's the title of your song. I get it. Yep. And
he really didn't have, in his brain, I think it made sense. But then when he tried to articulate it to the crowd, it did not compute at all.
And I think that comes across when it's like, it's not a concept that you can communicate very easily. And it's hard when it's a slower, more emotional song. Not that it's like a slow song, but when it does have some like things to say that are really more emotional, you want the concept to make sense. Like if you're doing Sweden's Unforgettable, it's just a pop song. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but like your set doesn't really have to make sense. It just has to be like flashy and fun. But
They
when
were
you
given
are,
Matrix, and I was so confused about
they
that.
were. But it's just like, but then the bridge was like Daft Punk sound. So like I kind of get it. It's like a little bit like, all right, let's do some late 90s stuff. Why not? Um, but yeah, I feel like if you have an emotional song, it needs to kind of make more sense and tell a story.
Oh,
So we have the jury, we have the public. They're all putting in their 2 cents, and I do want to just briefly mention that the public had some least favorites. And so the bottom 3 from the public were, with 0 points, Dizzy, United Kingdom. With 4 points, the second lowest was Norway. And then with 5 points, Austria. So those were the
That's a
bottom
crime.
3 by the public. And I will say that given what I saw on stage in the moment, these do kind of make sense. Now, before you guys come at me with Austria, it is a crime that she is so low. But in that moment, when that camera cut out, you went, I'm not going to vote for this.
Well,
I don't know.
and I will say her finals performance was not nearly as strong as her semifinals performance.
I can agree to that. To me, I just had a big question mark. And because nobody really was mentioning exactly what happened with the camera malfunction situation. So many people just assumed that there was some type of slip up that occurred on stage, that the camera basically delayed it and then tried to pan into a far view, and then it wasn't until after, days later, that no, that's not what happened. In fact, that particular camera died. And
in that
so
moment, there's no way that she even knows that there's an issue. And
she
then the
didn't.
votes come in and she's going, what?
What the heck?
Yeah, no, she was having a legit WTF moment, like many of us were. But yes, to what you were saying, Doug, that one particular moment that was totally out of her control cost her a lot of points from both the jury as well as the public vote. And it's a shame too, because yeah, that song will be a rager for me. I should say a raver, actually. Will be one that I play continuously for many years to come.
Well, and I won't throw any more shade at Norway, so we'll just leave it at that.
We know how we feel about Norway, but I do know that. Oh, but I do know that Katie wants to. I know we talked at some length about UK last year, but we're not done.
We're not done. We're not done because speaking of a performance, a set, a thing that doesn't make sense with your song. Like this is a pop one. And the chorus is "I'm dizzy from your kisses." Isn't that like flirty and cute and not filthy basement porn? Why are we doing filthy basement porn? I did not sign up to come see the first Saw movie. The lighting is so unflattering. I was just like, what are we doing here?
Well, let's be real. That vocal was rough.
It was not good. It was not good.
But the studio, this is where I say, like, as a song, I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I sing along to it. I love the studio version because, I mean, let's be real, we got some probably auto-tune in there. So it's a good pop song. I actually really like the music video to it because they actually spin. I don't know, just a thought. Yeah. So in that moment, though, that's what we're judging on, and it was all kinds of not great.
Well, and watching it in the audience was not enjoyable, at least from where we were sitting. Right. That was the other part.
I try to keep made for TV in mind, but yes, you are 100%. We did not see him at all during that performance.
He was in a box, and the way that it was angled, it was not in a good angle for us.
Yeah.
And so we had to really rely on the jumbo screens that were above to actually understand what was happening in the box.
You weren't missing much.
He took it in stride, though. You know, he got 0 from the public, and I think he did the best he could with it. Like, I would have been super sour about it, and he was just laughing it off. So good for him.
I think for me, honestly, like I don't think that I'm like some prude puritanical person, but like that performance, not just the vocals, but like the whole like softcore porn of it all. It's so off-putting that it like makes it so I don't have the song on my playlist because I just see the saw set and grinding, and I don't want to visualize that all the time when I'm driving.
I'm just immediately now thinking about something that you said a couple of weeks ago, Katie, and so I will just kind of no softcore porn,
Right?
but some softcore, and this one just had too much.
Just too much, and I think
It's
like
too much.
I have like weird things about certain media that I just like I can't stand the Charmin commercials with the bears talking about how clean their butts are. Ugh, I'm disgusted by it for no reason. So it just gives me that same vibe for some reason, and I just can't get behind it. They make me. My mom
So
and I
Ollie
talk about how
Alexander
viscerally
is
angry.
a Charmin commercial.
Ollie
He's a Charmin
Alexander
bear.
to you
He's a
is a
Charmin bear for
Charmin
me.
bear.
He's
A Charmin bear in a British twink's body.
Yep.
Oh goodness! All right, so
Ollie,
I
if
want
this
us to
hits your algorithm, come kiki with us. We have questions.
so many questions.
Nice if I meet you.
So let's try and bring this back here. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, we talked about the jury or the public vote and who was the lowest. The overall, some of the lower ones, you've got Georgia, Spain, Slovenia, Austria, Norway as the bottom 5 in the overall results.
Yeah.
Are there any of those 5? We talked about Austria and how that surprised us, but are there other ones surprise you of this bottom 5?
Spain shocked me hard.
Spain.
For real. We knew what we were getting into once they were selected, and even before Nebulosa created a music video for their song Zora, they streamed their performance from Spain's national finals. And so I already knew what we were getting into, and to me that performance was very much what they carried into for Eurovision, and so I was really surprised that they performed so low, especially when the crowd was going wild for them.
Oh, absolutely!
And it made
Everybody
no sense
loved
to
it.
me.
Both, you know, when they performed in the semifinals, when we were there for the viewing party during the finals, the crowd went wild for Spain. And then to see that not only did the jury not like it, but they only got 11 points from the public. Like,
yeah, that was so surprising because you can hear the crowd. You can hear everyone be like so pumped, even on the like performance we can stream. Like, and you're saying that it was like amazing when you were there, and you know the song is just such a throwback. Like, it's so fun, and
it's empowering. She had fun with it. It's a bop.
It was a
what
bop.
I said, yeah, similar to what I said about Hera Bjork from Iceland. I like seeing a not 20-year-old performing. You know, I love seeing some different age ranges, and for her to go out there and just kill it and be so sassy and so fun and wear the hell out of that jumpsuit that I want to buy. Like I was kind of dumbfounded that they did not place higher.
Same. Yeah, Doug saw when the final results were getting announced, and when their score was finally revealed, I just think my jaw hit the floor, and I just
I
was
think there
in
was an audible gasp from the crowd.
such disbelief that they did not rank as high as we were expecting. I had them in my top 10. I will just say that. And so I was so off on that one. And perhaps people just had this mentality that they were thinking, oh, well, other people are going to be voting for them. These countries need my vote more than Nebulosa. And everybody just sort of thought that that's just me trying to be glass half full, that we loved it so much we didn't think she needed our help, and we were far from right on that one. We were so wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think with Eurovision you can ever assume that a country is safe without your vote. Like, they all need it. If you have a top 10, you have to vote within that top 10, even if you think someone's safe.
Georgia being part of that bottom as well, not a surprise to me. I was more surprised
to no one.
Yeah, it was a surprise to no one. I think all of us were surprised that she advanced to begin with, and that's no shade to her. Very proud of you for finally breaking the not qualify streak for Georgia. So kudos to you. But it belonged down there. It's one that I forget about pretty regularly until it plays on my playlist, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about her.
Yeah. And I think Slovenia, for me, I was disappointed with how low it placed, but I'm also not that surprised. Like, it's such an intense performance. It's like, it really is not everyone's cup of tea, and it's not gonna make a lot of people's top 10 to give them points. So yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised by it, but I'm bummed for her because I thought it was amazing.
I know, to me that's still a beautiful song. Raven and her song Veronica was and still is one that I go to when I need to just kind of be moody for a little bit. But what I'm also surprised about is that she ranked lower I'm throwing this back out there than Serbia. That part does not make sense to me. I think we're getting towards that tail of the rankings, so I'll just kind of pause for now on that one.
Well, and so let's climb up that rank a little bit more. So the next sort of set, you've got Finland, UK, Serbia, Latvia, Cyprus, Estonia, sort of this 15th through 20th place. So I'm just going to put a shout in there for Latvia. I really appreciate this song. I think the song has a good message about, I'm not just going to take your word for it. I'm not just going to follow blindly through the world. I just think that him up there with a circle on the stage didn't really help him out that much.
Yeah, we haven't discussed this performance yet. I agree.
The whole thing was a big question mark for me, and I think this is where I may and still to this day have completely misinterpreted what his song is truly about, because every time I listen to it or I hear the lyrics, I get questioning the existence of religion, or where religion plays. I don't know why I always just get if I'm going to be as honest about this as possible, I get this is a song about basically being an atheist, where it's I don't have a belief in God, and that's how I've always interpreted the song. But maybe I just haven't read or really listened to the lyrics as closely as I should be. And then
well, and I think it has an element
that was part of his stage prop. Made no sense.
No, Stephen, I don't think you're necessarily far off with your interpretation of it. And I think sort of people will read into lyrics in certain manners, but there is an aspect of what you described there as religion, but also, you're not just taking following blindly, not taking someone's word for it. I will say my partner, Ryan, this was his favorite song. And so we listened to it several times. And I think I found an appreciation for the artistry of it. I don't think that his staging helped in any way.
Yeah, his voice is amazing. It's so evocative. It's so emotional. It's like really beautiful. I just don't think that he had the stage presence to do this big of a stage. I would
No.
love
We
to
talked
see him
about
on
it
like
with
a
Sam.
small stage and just like singer-songwriter type. Like that's not his vibe. Like he's not like folksy or anything, but I would like love to see him in at a concert with like 100 to 200 people. I think
Well,
that's like kind of more his vibe.
and
MTV
it's funny you mentioned
Unplugged.
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that because you're like folksy. It's not really his vibe. It kind of is though.
A little bit, yeah.
I follow him on Instagram and he's done lives where he's just there in front of the camera playing his guitar, singing away, and it's a vibe. It's it's
Yeah.
just it's it's great. I think he's got a fantastic voice, but I think he ran into the same problem as Denmark with Sand. It's just you've got one person up there on stage, standing,
And
singing,
Moldova.
and that stage swallows you whole.
Yeah, unless you're doing something really dynamic with it, which, we have some examples of that with France,
Mhm.
Nemo, or Switzerland. Who else was up there solo that did amazing? There's a handful that found ways to take up space on the stage.
Yep.
And even though Slimane with France, that's a ballad. It's not like he was up dancing and running around, but like when he stands back from that microphone and just belts out the song, I get chills every time.
Well, and he
Every
was
time.
very interactive with the camera and his placement on
For
stage,
better or for worse.
for better or for worse. Like I just Don's
So to-
missed the mark, and his score is very much reflective of that.
His score is
Yeah.
reflected in that, but I'll be honest, like I am happy with that placement, all things considered, because I was
Yeah.
truly worried that he wasn't going to make it out of semis. So for him to play 16th, that I thought that was like best case scenario, honestly. And so for me, Latvia, they did the best they could with what they had, and I think he should be proud of where he did and what he did for Latvia.
And
Absolutely.
he was another one where he broke the streak for not qualifying for Latvia. So there is also that to be proud of. Yeah.
He has recently put out a new song. I believe it's called Dark. I think that is a true song that illustrates the post Eurovision song is better than the Eurovision song. So if you have an opportunity, listen to that Dark by Dons. So I think he's going places. He's got a great voice.
I think I realized who he reminds me of, like musically.
Oh, okay. I
Is
thought
more
we
like
were
a
going Harry
Hosier,
Potter.
or
Oh,
however
okay.
you say it, because like that like kind of dark and brooding music, but like that just like grips you, and
Yeah.
so I think he could follow that similar trajectory.
He gives me Voldemort vibes from time to time, but
Well,
like that's not
and see,
musical. So
he just looks like a coworker I had, and so that's all I can see when I look at him is an old coworker. He was great to work with, but not a Eurovision world champion.
that's fair.
So before we climb the ranks too much, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about Finland because I know the two of you love it.
Yeah.
Jury did not.
The jury was not about them, and it makes me so sad. But also,
Yeah.
they will still always be winners in my book. I still love their performance. There was, of course, the rumored, we'll call it Ballgate, if you will, in which there is a split moment on screen where, as Windows 95 man has his short shorts on and he's jumping around with his sparklers, the camera sort of like goes in, but then it stops because they think that they see his ball might have slipped out of his nude underwear, but not being a pervert or anything, I've definitely seen this clip many a times. That was his nude underwear, so Ballgate is not a real thing, but a lot of people are saying that because of that one particular incident, they received very few points from jury and all of that stuff, and it makes me sad. It's a bop. It will always be a bop. Justice for Finland once again.
Again. It's
But
just a
just
fun
not.
performance. Like it if I'm having a rough day, just watch
No rules.
Windows 95 man come out of that denim egg
Yeah.
with the lights mouthing the words. And like I just like find it so funny, all the different unique camera angles to make it look like he was naked the whole performance. Like it's just funny, it's just fun. It's just good
That's so
lighthearted fun.
Eurovision. That's what it
That's
is.
so Eurovision.
That is
It is.
so
That's what I wrote on my
Eurovision.
notes, all caps. That's so Eurovision. And I mean, I just think it's fun and it's worth watching. And I watched a video that was just a bunch of people reacting to their performance and it's great. It's so fun. Like different ages, it's just very fun.
And that's the other ones that sort of fall in there in this particular section of the final results, not super surprising. Like I said, I would have the biggest surprise for me was seeing that Serbia was ranked as high as they were in there, because to me, I feel like they would have been lower. It just wasn't a song that I vibed with this year. It wasn't a song that I, even though we now know more about the meaning behind it, as to me it's just no. Raven should have been closer in that mix, not where she was. I would have swapped those two out.
The performance was just giving caught in a fishnet, frankly.
It was a great bathroom break.
Sorry about it.
Went there.
All right. So let's talk about 11th through 14th. And in that order, we've got Greece, Germany, Luxembourg, Lithuania. Any surprises?
I just don't understand why everybody was so about Greece this year. It still does not make sense to me.
When I watched that, I watched it for the first time, and she's got that moment where she's like kind of like saying something to a dancer who like takes her microphone, but then he's like looking at the camera and like telling the camera to like shoo away. And I was like, oh, this has to be an error. Something's going wrong. And then she did it again. And I was like, oh, that was intentional. I don't get it.
Yeah. I also really did not like the making it look like Instagram Live or something. Like it went to the like vertical frame on the screen with the hearts floating up on the side. And I was just like, why are we doing this? I didn't get it. It felt a little too like, oh, we're being on the trends. And it's like, we're talking to the kids. And I'm like, you're not old enough to be doing this. We're talking to the kids kind of thing.
But she is super popular with the kids. So, there's something there. And I think that's why
her, honestly, that's what carried her.
I mean, she got 11th place, so she was nearly top 10. And if you talk to the youths, they are shocked that she was not higher.
Yeah.
Really?
I will say, as like a positive, I enjoyed that they did some of that like traditional Greek dancing in it. I really like that piece. But I don't get it.
I can appreciate I can appreciate the culture part, and not that this has anything to do with her overall performance. This is just me being a bitch. Her outfit was awful.
No, that bubble skirt.
That was a choice.
What on earth?
I know that like she doesn't get you do not get docked points. At least I don't think they dock points for that. I mean, I guess it could be with overall performance when we look at some of those categories, but the outfit was bad.
The outfit was giving Zetas Lapidus.
Oh, my elder millennial heart.
That's part of my girl of the 21st century heart as well.
Thank you. I appreciate the reference.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about Luke Telk. First of all, I want to say I love the song. I vibe with it. I wonder, though, could he have done more than like shrug his shoulder?
He did.
He kicked his leg. He kicked his leg.
I know that's his vibe. Like his vibe is like, I've got no energy while still having energy,
His vibe
but I love
is
the song.
It
I'm
gives me
like
it
kind of
gives
too
me my
cool.
it gives me my EDM feels that I need
Mhm.
sometimes. It does make me like not we will rave, but we are at a rave,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
that's what I get.
the lyrics basically, like this chorus basically translates to like tomorrow I'll love you tomorrow, and it's like kind of I feel like the vibe was ennui with with a great beat. And so I feel like the performance was fitting with that. And I really loved the red and blue staging, especially in that like dance break where the whole stage is blue and the dancers are like highlighted in red. That contrast was so cool. And I just really, really, really loved that. So I,
It brought something different, right? There wasn't this like typical styling of a pop
Mhm.
song. It just again, I know I criticized like the just like shaking your shoulder, but overall, like the song was great.
No,
yeah,
it absolutely was. I will say, as subtle as the performance was, I remember when he advanced to the finals, Roger turning to me and saying he better step his game up if he's going into the finals. And as very minimal as his movements were and his performance was, he did step it up. In my opinion, I saw a difference in just his overall presence and his delivery in the
his
performance from,
energy. Yeah.
yes, his energy from semifinal one to grand final. And so to me, I think that did help him climb to this higher half of finals.
Yeah. To 14.
And I think uh as well in that mix too, it was just nice and refreshing to see Luxembourg come back after
Yeah.
31 years and to finish as strongly as they did. No, they
Yes.
didn't make top 10, but they still did a damn good job this year. So
Agreed.
I think that gave them the momentum that they need to just continue to participate. And I know that they have confirmed participation for 2025. So I'm excited just to see what else they bring to the table in the coming years.
Well, and I think that brings us to our top 10. And so let's kind of get into these ones a little bit more. And I first want us to talk a little bit about what I believe is the biggest disparity between public and jury, and that is number 10, Portugal. 13 points from the public and 139 from the jury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't understand why the public was not as in favor of her as the jury was, because to me this was a song that I loved from the moment that they had qualified to Eurovision to grand final. I
She
know
sang the hell out of it.
she's got such a beautiful voice. That's the thing. Yolanda has such a beautiful voice, and it just transcends and really hits you in the chest and gives you the chills and the ooh ah ahs that I love to see in some of these performances. And so I was happy to see that she made a top 10. I am disappointed though that there was such a drastic difference between jury and public votes for her.
I think the jury loved it because it was technically amazing. It's technically great. So if the juries are made up of music industry professionals and things like that, they're going to love the song that's technically great. Her voice is amazing. I'm not going to take that away from her.
I'm waiting for the like
I
shoe to
think
drop. Like,
Yeah.
but
I think we've said this before. If I never heard that song again, I would be fine with it.
oh, oh, tell us more, Katie.
I thought I didn't think the melody was like very, it just kind of is the same thing. And
It
it
kind
was,
of. Would you say it gets lost in the
yeah,
shuffle of some of the other songs?
yeah. And her performance was great. I said, like, this is a great way to involve dancers with a slower song. But I just, like, it just wasn't one of the ones that I would put in my top 10. And I think that that's what happened, is, like, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, she's amazing, she's great. The jury will take care of her. Like, she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's not even like other people are going to vote for her. You know that because she is such a technically strong singer that the jury is going to love that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a song that I would say really deeply resonated with me personally.
That's fair. No, that's fair. And so I think I want to jump to next Armenia, because loves me some Armenia. And this is where I think the jury and the public actually sort of almost agreed on where we were at with this one. So everybody loved it to some extent. So 8th place, Armenia. So Katie, I know you have some thoughts. Please share them with us.
I love it. I like her performance just sold it for me. Like, you could tell she was like flirting with the camera. She was having so much fun. And I am a sucker for a song that's like about how little girls don't have to behave, you know? And that's what this song is about. Like, Jocko was her nickname as a kid, and so it was like about how, like, no, I'm not gonna sit down just because you tell me I should, you know? And I love that. And the music was fun. I just love it.
It's a jam. It's so much fun to listen to, and it was a tough sell for everybody in the group who went to the show. That I'm talking about it the whole time, and they're basically like, Doug, you need to stop talking about this song. It's dumb. We hate it. And I'm just like, I don't care what you think. I am gonna just have the time of my life when this song comes on the stage.
It was not an immediate bop for me, but it grew on me really quickly.
It was not a bop for me. Controversial, shocker, controversial to this day. Still not the biggest bop for me, but I don't skip the song. But I also, the reason why I continue to listen to the song is because I will always remember just turning to Doug during the live performance and go ahead, do what you do the thing. I'm just looking over and he's just doing that's all he's doing.
I'm just doing my dance, my hands dance.
He's just doing his hands dance. And so, like,
yeah,
that's legit the only reason why I listen to the song anymore, is just because I always think of Doug doing the hand dance, and it's great.
They just had so much. You could tell that they were just having so much fun with it. Now, I'm not trying to like detract from it at all, but like it kind of sucks that they weren't able to play the music, like the actual instruments live on stage. We all know that's not part of how it works, right. But they had so much fun on stage.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And that's why I love seeing the smaller countries do well like this. Like, you know, ones that are not Eurovision powerhouses,
right.
shall we say, like our Swedens, our Nordic countries and things like that. Because they're just like, especially when they come out with a fun song, like I feel like they were just like, honestly, we're just happy to be here. Like, we're literally living our best life, and nothing you could say. We could come in last place. We don't care. We are at Eurovision, you guys.
Yep.
And that was the energy that came across, and it really sold it for me.
And to see them come in 8th place was just
a shocker.
A proud moment. Like, you know, well, for Steven, it was a shocker. For me, it was just one of those moments where you're like, I knew they weren't going to win, but I love seeing them be in that top 10 and to be 8th place behind Italy, which, okay, that's another story, but behind Italy, who everybody thought was going to be the winner. So Armenia's coming close to that. So maybe that's a good transition into, does anyone have anything they want to say about Lenoia? Because I don't.
Y'all are haters. I don't get why you hate this song so much. I don't understand. It is just a pop song with like a little like reggaeton beat. Like, why? What's wrong with it? Like, I don't get it. What's wrong with it? It's so fun.
The song literally means.
You're gonna say this again.
The boring, 100%. And that is exactly what it was. Boring.
Boring where? You would have put You would have put, okay, I'm
I would
sorry.
have put Windows 95 Man up there, yes.
No, I put Windows 95 Man up there too. But you're telling me you're putting Portugal top 10 and you think that this one is boring?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I mean,
How?
again, every song for every person. So
Exactly.
there was
It just-
definitely
It
there was
just
definitely folks
don't get
who appreciated it. I have a coworker, and I just love that she was willing to listen to some Eurovision because I talk about it incessantly. And turns out that this was like her favorite, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it to her. I'm gonna say a song for everybody.
You're
Just
not going to give it to
wasn't
me, though.
for me.
it was just not. I don't know why it just doesn't hit for me. It's boring, so it's got a fitting title to
I don't know
to
how
fit
you
with
think
it.
this is
And
boring. I think you might still be confused with Italy from 2023, which was boring.
yeah.
This one is not.
Everybody loved that one. Let's we don't want to start like
Nope.
a rivalry or
Let's
like
save that one for the 2023 rewind.
Ooh, this thing's just got spicy.
Let's
Okay.
find out.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
find out if Italy
leave
is
my-
always going to be our argument point.
You
If
leave
you guys
my-
are always going to agree, and I'm always going to disagree.
You
on
leave-
Italy.
You
Because
leave
so
my
far-
2023 Italian stallion alone.
Okay, you can't just like a song because the singer's hot.
Can't you though?
But you
Can't
You
you?
can't.
Speaking of,
So, with that said,
let's
how
go
about
into it.
let's keep going. Let's keep going with Ireland and Doomsday Blue, who got 6th place. We almost crowned a witch.
Bambi
I mean,
Thug.
6th
Almost.
place. That's
great.
I think Bambi Thug manifested everything that they wanted to manifest this year, and there was the whole 666 speculation as well that was going out. Was 6th picked at some point, placed 6th, and then there was another 6th that they threw in there, and they said that Bambi Thug manifested it because they are a witch as well. Not a song, and I think we said this during our recap of semifinal 1. Bambi Thug was not somebody that was on my radar until Bambi Thug performed at the semifinal. Everything that I saw them doing prior to their performance on stage, I was just like, we'll get through it. Thank you for the Harry Potter reference, and we'll see you in 2025, Ireland. Cut to they are on stage, and I'm like, whoo, okay, you are on my radar now, and I want to see this again. So proud of them for sure for what they did this year.
I said, what a performance. They it's so impressive. They're also a ballerina somehow. Great for them. But then I also said, that's fucking scary, because it was. Honestly, their teeth, because I was looking at their Instagram, they have beautiful teeth. I was like, what did you do? It's so scary. But I get that it's the whole vibe.
It's
but
part of the whole
it was a
thing.
terrifying performance, but I was also, maybe she did witchcraft on me because I was enraptured by it.
Yes.
So that brings us to our top 4. So France placed 4th, 445 points total. Beautiful song. We talked a little bit about interacting with the camera for good or for bad. Any other thoughts?
I truly think that the moment where he stepped away from the microphone to just belt out the ballad is what left such a lasting impression on so many folks. Yes, there is video footage from one of the rehearsals during the grand final where he was not his best, and there was that whole thing that was going on. But come grand final night, when it really counted, he got it together and he was able to belt it out. No broken notes, no crackled voice, none of that. Just pure beauty. I loved it. I loved it from the time that he was selected and it was announced, and we saw his music video. I was quasi hopeful that he was going to have like the sparkly dance globe top as well coming into this performance, but I'm okay with the outfit choice, even though again, it doesn't really matter what I think when it comes to like costume attire. But
Mhm.
I loved it, and I still bops with it. So
Yeah, what do you think, Doug?
opposite.
No, I really do like it. Like, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. I'm very biased towards our French songs just because I find the language to be beautiful. It just sings very well. So I don't have anything to add other than I think that this was a very good placement. I think that the jury and the public sort of agreed again on how well it was performed. I didn't love his interaction with the camera when he's like swiping the camera away from him. Like, okay, whatever. But overall, it was
I thought you
fantastic.
could like a song just because the singer's hot, though.
Oh,
So I'm just saying. I mean, the song is great too, though. But yeah, I
So-
think it fulfilled some fantasies for people. I'll
Oh.
say that much. Not me in particular, but like it's like imagine waking up next to this man. That's kind
mean,
of how he started.
you're not kicking him out of bed.
you know,
No, I'm not.
you mean when you wake up in the morning, you don't have like your husband or significant other kind of like booping you on the nose or like swaying you the way that he was swaying the camera? That's
Yeah, like
not
that.
nobody else's husband does that on a regular basis. Just mine. Okay.
Oh, mine does too. This is why Doug doesn't like it.
Oh.
Just
No, I really love the song. I think honestly the top four I am okay with. Now,
Mhm.
I think that moves us into Ukraine. Of the top four,
Yeah.
Ukraine didn't do it as much for me. I could say something controversial, but I think Jerry Hale carried that song. Don't know how others feel, but I think she carried that
Interesting.
song for the team. Just my take.
I can
Yeah.
appreciate both of them for what they brought to the song, but yes, I mean she's the one that is hitting the high notes and belting it out, but that is what she was trained to do. Whereas,
And I know they tried to blend the genres.
yeah,
For me, I'm just saying of the two components of the blend, one did not live up to my expectations, and that's fine.
that
But
is
again,
fair.
I think the placement was very maybe generous, but
Okay.
very well done. Like it was earned.
The jury
Yeah.
and the public loved their performance, and as a result, that's
Well, I
why
will say
we
that
saw that.
if we look at the jury side of things of the top four, they were the lowest jury
Mm.
vote or jury point total. So
But they got a couple
take
of
for what it's
12s.
worth.
They were still awarded a couple of 12s from the
So-
jury, were they not?
I'm not sure of the actual split, but you have a jury vote of 146 and a public vote of 307 for Ukraine.
Okay.
So
Yeah. And I think on the song itself, I think they're both bringing their own energies. But I thought, as far as the performance goes, I will agree that like, um, uh, you know, Jerry Hale was absolutely carrying it. And she was the one out there like doing the walk up the hill and like everything. And Aliona just kind of popped up in
She
her
fell.
like Jedi outfit. She did fall in the rehearsal. And she was just looking like a Jedi a little bit, and I was just like, yeah, like on stage she just didn't have quite the same impact as I think Jerry Hill did.
So
that gets us to the top two. Talk about them however you want, in whatever order you want. Ultimately, we had Croatia at number 2 with 547 votes, and Switzerland at number 1 with 591 votes. So
Take it away, Steven. Talk about Croatia.
Oh my god.
Take it away for 10 minutes.
Yeah, right. No, I cannot go 10 minutes. It's already going to be a long episode, but that's okay. I think we all know how we feel and how I feel about Baby Lasagna, and I was crying when he got his popular vote, or when he got his public vote. For a split second, I thought he was going to have it, but then I realized Nemo still needed to get their points awarded to them, and I realized, oh no, Baby Lasagna is still probably going to lose, but I'm so proud of my boy. Rim Tim Tagadim, my 2024 anthem. I hope that he knows how much pride he has brought to his country, because this was by far the strongest and the best that Croatia has ever done. And I think it gave them the motivation to stay with Eurovision and to continue to participate. He is just such a humble guy. And he
wasn't even going to do music.
He
right?
wasn't even going to be a
that his
musician.
background? Like,
if it was not for his fiance to encourage him to write this song, to put this song in for consideration for Eurovision, and to actually take, he wasn't even slated to advance to their nationals. He was an alternate, and then another performer dropped, and he was the first one that was asked to come in and take that spot, and he wasn't even going to do that. And it was because of his fiance that she was like, you have to do this, you have to see how this goes, you just have to give it a try. And to see him go from alternate list to runner up, it's a story that you just can't make up. And he's just such a cool guy. When we did his meet and greet, he was so humble about the entire thing, very overwhelmed. He was like, I don't get why everybody is so hyped for me, but I am appreciative and I'm humble for it. He earned it. He is still a winner in my book, and
he loves his cats. I love that about it.
Meow cat, please meow back.
Meow meow.
One might say he is a childless cat lady.
Well, he doesn't get a vote in the U.S., so that would make some people happy.
Yep. There is that. No, and his performance was great. It truly was a moment that I hope he'll always fall back on and remember. Yeah. And I hope that he just remembers seeing everybody do the dance motion when he was on stage doing it.
And I think that, when you're talking about the national pride of Croatia with him, I saw a video, we'll post it on our Instagram, of the government of Croatia, all these different departments dancing to this song, and you see they're government buildings and everybody's
just
there.
doing the hand motion.
And it's so fun, and I think that is really cool, and it seems like it brought a lot of energy to them, and I love that. And I mean,
his homecoming was also great. There's a lot of video out there as well of his homecoming. They had a parade for him when he came back. He is out there. He just starts crying as he thanks the crowd, because it's over, obviously, but to see how proud everybody was of him, even though he didn't come home with the full win, they could care less, because to them, he made such a great impact.
Well, Eurovision might be over, but I think he's just getting started.
Absolutely. And I was also going to say, I feel like based on how city selection and what we were talking about with only half of Switzerland even wanting to host, Croatia might be really happy with second place, because maybe they were like, we don't really want to put this thing on next year, but you did great to avoid that.
But also, I would have 100% gone to Croatia. Sign me up. Let's get tickets.
It's a little bit more affordable, as we're still trying to scrimp and save and figure out how we're going to make Switzerland happen. But
if it happens,
you'll be happy to know that Roger did get hotels reserved at least, so fingers crossed there.
Okay.
So we have options.
Which now leads us to the winner.
Nemo. Who broke the trophy.
and
the code.
the code.
They broke the trophy?
Oh yes, Nemo
yeah.
broke the trophy.
I didn't know this.
When they were doing their performance at the very end, because they're going to sing again for everybody at the very end, you can actually hear it like shatter.
You can hear it shatter
because they put it down on the stage and then the top fell off.
Oh my goodness. I totally missed that. I mean, by the end of the 3.5 hour
you have to watch
grand
it.
final,
You have to watch it all the way to the end. At the very, very end, as they are thanking the crowd, they are on the floor, confetti is coming down on them, and they put the trophy down on the floor next to them, and you just hear crick.
Oh, well, that's why you don't make awards out of glass.
This is like a Marvel movie. You gotta stay till the end credits.
End credits. And then I will pull it up and send it to you, Katie and Doug. It is on the Eurovision Instagram channel as Nemo is sort of taking it all in after it's all over, and Nemo is just like, I just fucking won Eurovision and I broke my thumb and I broke the trophy, but they're gonna give me another trophy and I don't know what to feel right now other than just overwhelmed and thank you and okay, bye now. And it's great.
It's adorable.
But I think I mentioned this before when we were talking about other solo acts being on stage alone. This is how you do it.
That is how you do it.
The performance was so dynamic. And obviously they had that set piece of the rotating platform thing, but I feel like they were so into their song that they didn't even need it.
No.
And the behind the scenes of it is fun to watch too, with the people running on stage to move the piece and then get back out of frame in time. And I just think that, I don't know if Nemo was a part of that staging. I'd like to think that's the case. It was just so unique. It was just so well executed. And I think that we look at the different criteria for juries and it makes sense why this was the jury's number one pick.
Because speaking of a technically good song, they are an amazing singer and vocalist. And that, just the vocal range of the song, incredible. Plus it's a relatable, I went to hell and back, and people love that kind of message in a song. And so I feel like it was something that resonated with a lot of people while also being technically fantastic.
I will say that the lyric between the O's and ones, I sang that probably 100 times before it finally clicked with me what that meant about non-binary. And it's just
identity.
The moment that you figured that out, I was just like, oh my God, these lyrics are amazing. And I hadn't even really, I was just singing them for singing them's sake, and then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah.
Well, and I was singing them, and not to make another reference about being a millennial, but O's and ones binary code, I'm okay, break the matrix, get out of all of this stuff. But then you realize it's also about breaking the binary and being non-binary and how they identify. And I think that's really cool. I'm an engineer and I don't ever understand the number references in songs because it took me a long time to realize what 0.003 and Who the Hell is Edgar from 2023 was. Which it's the amount of commission that an artist makes on a song streaming. But I was just singing along to it, not knowing what the hell we were talking about. But I totally it's so much deeper than you even think about it being.
And so with that, we now know who our winner is. We've obviously for several weeks now know what country we will be looking at venturing off to next year. Doug, Katie, any final takeaways?
Yeah, when this airs, we will be days away from knowing what country or what
city,
what location within Switzerland we're going to, and we're going to be days away from the start of the next Eurovision season. So this was just a great way to wrap it up in preparation for the next season.
2025 Eurovision cycle is right around the corner and upon us. And with that, folks, I think we can say thank you so much for our 2024 Eurovision Rewind. And thank you for listening. Of course, as always, find us on Instagram and TikTok at Eurovision Kiki. You can also email us at eurovisionkiki@gmail.com. And thank you once again. And we'll see you all at our next Kiki.